Welcome back, y'all, to post week one, pre week two, A Sun show coming at you not live, recorded. Um, we have some changes we want to introduce this week. We're going to have Judge coming on as more or less a full time commentator, providing us with some dope ass graphics week over week, um, as well as some um, key insights to games that are going on that have been played and that will be played. We have a special guest this week that we'll introduce after we go through this first week one games. Starting from the top, we have the FFCS game of the week, Bethune-Cookman versus Penn. The current Bethune-Cookman coach and the previous Bethune-Cookman coach. Bethune-Cookman from last year was playoff bound, and a lot of people thought that Penn should be playoff bound as well. So this was definitely a high-profile game to start the season. Bethune-Cookman came ready to play, though, 45-27. Jocks is a pretty well-renowned coach in the league, and it was a game that I was looking forward to, and it turned out to be a pretty good game to watch, and Bethune-Cookman kind of ran away with it at the end. Pello started the season hot last year, and I fully expect that trend to continue this year, and starting the season off with a big non-conference win, that's huge for him. So let's see where the season goes from here.
Yep. It's a little bit of a surprising win for Bethune-Cookman, at least to me.
Looks like by that margin,
yeah.
Yep.
From the stats, I can't only guess is that the turnovers were more costly for Penn than for Bethune-Cookman. But good win for Bethune-Cookman. Get them solidly, get them on a good start, and probably entrenched in the coaches poll for a while. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm really not shocked that Bethune-Cookman pulled it out, but yeah, I'm a little worried. Not worried. I was a little surprised how BC just jumped on Penn. Penn has a reputation for always being prepared. I thought with the whole offseason it was going to be a really tough game for BC, but they got up quick in the first half and really got Jocks on their heels, and it was just really hard for Penn to come back after that. So big credit to Pello there. Huge win.
Next game is Maine at Jacksonville State. Maine won 21-0. A little bit of a disappointment for the A-Sun in what was a very Jacksonville State just couldn't get anything going. Wasn't their usual dominant self. So we'll let's see what happens next week with Jacksonville State. Bad loss for them.
Yeah, 3 turnovers look like it killed Matt there. And kind of, unfortunate timing as well. Jacksonville State is going to take a little bit of a leave of absence or furlough, as he put it, for the time being for a couple of weeks. Not taking anything away from Maine. That was a huge win. And it's exciting to see how their season projects out from here. Not exactly the season that we expected Jacksonville State to get started off to, but it's a long season. It's just one out-of-conference game, and still a lot of games left to play for Jacksonville State. So I fully expect him to make a comeback and be a challenger in the dust. Next, we have. Mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead.
You go ahead.
Oh, I was going to go right into the next game.
Go into the next game.
Okay. Next, we had my game, Alabama A&M versus Youngstown State. A legal game of sorts, a little bit of cat and mouse, really more cat than mouse. Youngstown State really got the best of me here. He described some of his preparations, and really that had me kind of my head spinning a little bit. I found out this week that the option is a very, very tough offense to stop if you can't, really hone in on defense. No turnovers, surprisingly, in this game. But, just kept pounding, 4, 5, 6, 7 yards per game, or per play, sorry. And I just couldn't stop them down the field. 31-10 was the final. Last season I started off pretty slow as well, so I figured, it might be seeing double and starting over again. But I really hope that I can turn it around this week. And Youngstown State is going to be a force to be reckoned with this year. He's taken over the CAA. I think he's really got a solid game plan going with his team. Already, I think he has a good shot at winning his division and possibly his conference. So, really excited to see how he turns it up this year.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head about the option there.
So,
If you get down, it's really hard to
Wow.
come back. It's he reeled off 17 points in the second quarter and kind of put you in a hole. And I know you say that passing is scary, but it looked like you had to do a lot of it in this game, and that's kind of what put you back. He dominated time of possession, and so Youngstown State, Bernie's made a statement here in week one. Luckily for you, this is just one game. You got plenty of time to bounce back and to reestablish yourself. But props to the CAA and their commissioner and one of their top schools. Big win for them.
One of the leaders of the new show, we're watching you, got a good win this week against top ASUN school. They got something to brag about this week. But yeah, good win for them. Tough loss for the ASUN and for you. And you can turn it around next week. See if you can get yourself back on track. Next game, Alabama State with the overtime win against Marist, 17-10. Low scoring game, but Turk was able to pull it out at the end. Had to reel off 10 late points to get it to overtime. And as we were all watching in overtime, he got the score. And so, yep, Alabama State starting off. I think he said this is the first winning record Alabama State has ever had.
Props.
Maybe it's a sign of things to come. Alabama State, new dominant power in the ASUN.
Dawn of a new day.
Yeah, but Alabama State getting off to a good start, looking up for their season, and we'll see if they can carry it on.
Yeah, it was really something to see there. This is one of the later games. It happened on Saturday, and we were all kind of watching there in overtime, kind of in disbelief because Marist was a playoff team last year. I know they're not very active in Discord or anything like that, but this is a very good team. Alabama State showed signs of life all year last year, but ultimately could not have a good record at all. I don't think this is like a wake-up call for Alabama State to become a dominant force, but Turk is definitely going to be a thorn on a lot of people's side this year, and we'll see if he can get to 6 wins or even greater. You never know.
Yeah, Alabama State, I would describe enigmatic is the way I would describe them. They had a win, they had a top 15 win last year for Southern Illinois before Southern Illinois became the Southern Illinois that we hate. But a lot of people, some people are surprised with this. Some of the ASUN coaches are not surprised by this, just because they know that Turk's capable of pulling something off like this. But at other times, he plays to the level of his opponent, and he really stepped up this week. And I hope this is a sign for the Dusks to become the more powerful division in the conference. Next, we have Campbell versus Austin Peay. A battle between two pretty active Discord members and two high-flying offenses, a combined almost over 900 combined yards in this game. 52-29. Campbell kind of ran away with it really in the first half and then continued it in the second half. I'm personally excited to see Campbell kind of start tear. I know last season it wasn't exactly what he expected. It was a tough division last year, but I think if he can pull off some big out-of-conference wins, continue forcing turnovers, I think Campbell can return to his spot, at least in the playoff consideration for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Austin Peay, they got down early. Campbell really jumped on them early, but You got to hand it to AP. He fought back there for a little bit and made it pretty stressful on Humpy. Like I said, hopefully this is a sign of some good consistency for Campbell. He's had some bad consistency with 6-6 records and 7-5 records, but let's hope that he can consistently be better.
With wins like this, I think it could be a turning point for Campbell. They a good start. A lot of the ASUN did this week, but turnovers helped. He just kept the offense going, and yeah, good start for Campbell. See if he can keep it going and finally contend for a playoff spot. Next is Chattanooga absolutely wrecking Villanova 48-17. 27 points. It looks like what away. But yeah, -3 rushing yards for Villanova. They just never had a chance on the ground. And Chatty just kept pouring it on. Holding the ball twice as much. So it's just tough game for Villanova, who was actually ranked going into this week. So I doubt they'll be ranked again anytime soon. But Chatty getting off to a good start. There was a reason for all his bragging. And we'll see if he can keep it going.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Villanova.
I was just gonna say, yeah. Consider me a doubter. I'll still wait to see for success for Chattanooga, but hey, he got your back. Ampersand, getting another one on the CAA, trying to avenge you there. But yeah,
There we
impressive
go.
showing. I can't say anything else. Impressive showing. Go ahead.
No, yeah. So Villanova had a coaching change in the offseason, but don't forget I believe that they were a top 8 team last year. So they had a bye, I believe, in the first round of the playoffs. And Chatty is one of those teams that a lot of people who are familiar with the ASUN are familiar with some of the the bigger names, the more successful teams. And although Chatty wasn't super successful last year, I think a lot of teams that were not super successful last year in the ASUN are going to be really turning the corner this year. And I think Chatty's one of those teams. Granted, you're right. I do want to see a little bit more from him versus some more quality opponents. But I think that he's one of the up and comers in the league this year, along with a few others. Next, we have East Tennessee State versus Delaware State. So this was a bit of a conundrum here, as you guys might have to provide me some more information here. But at the time of the end of the game, the score was 52-37. But it turns out that there was some shenanigans going on, and ETSU won via forfeit. Not super common, but it has happened before in this FFCS. Most famously, recently in the playoffs last year. You guys might have to provide me some more information, but was he using a random number generator that caused the disqualification, or what happened?
Yeah, he was. He admitted.
Yeah, I think it was something like he said he used a couple numbers to try and get back into the game. Use a couple random generator for a couple of numbers to try and get back in the game, and apparently it didn't work. So.
Yeah, it didn't work. I think that Nutt is the new coach at ETSU. He was a coordinator at Sanford last year, and we're all happy that he's got his shot at the big time. He was in control of this game. It was a little bit of a shootout, but ETSU is always up a score or two just about the whole game. But yeah, I believe it was in the third quarter or early in the fourth that Delaware State made an admission of his RNG use and was not aware of the rules. It was not successful. We were waiting for a ruling from the leaders, and they just went ahead and finished out the rest of the game. So yeah, the final score is 1-0, but ETSU controlled this game. A really great showing. He got outgained, but it didn't matter. He had the ball for almost 19 minutes. It was a pretty impressive game.
Yeah. ETSU, even before the forfeit, good win. Looking like Nut was the one carrying Samford last year. Nah. Both of those coaches are good.
Yeah, we'll see a little bit more of that later.
Yeah. But yeah, Nut starting off his head coaching career well. Even though he's a defensive coordinator, doesn't look great on defense.
Technically, it's a
But
shutout.
yeah, I guess. But yeah, ETSU off to a good start too. Next we got my game versus State. I won 41-38. A big second quarter got me a 10-point lead, and I was able to ride that to the end. It was a close game. Mason had the ball late, but some good defense got me the win. Good win over. Pretty sure Mason was a playoff coach last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, and ranked number. Nice win. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, it was nice of you to get revenge against the Dixie State coach last year. Yeah, kudos to you, man. That was a stressful game. It was close all the way, kind of back and forth in the second half, but well done. You really threw the ball well, and yeah, stayed one step ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sure that's sweet to get revenge. I know that game last year was also super stressful to say the least. I'm glad you got the dub. And Missouri Valley Conference is another solid. That's another good out of conference win. That's one that the committee will look at the end of the year and be like, okay, that's going to be a notch in your belt. Props to you, man. Next, okay, so we briefly discussed Maine, Jacksonville State. We'll go into Butler and Jacksonville. This was an interesting game. Jacksonville got off to a really hot start. I believe they were up 16-0 before Butler scored a point. And as you guys know, Butler's, like I said, I consider Butler one of the blue bloods in Fate college football. Been around for a while, usually plays really big out of conference games and usually shows up. This was no different. Dropped 512 yards. This is almost combined 1,000-yard game between the two teams. Butler made a pretty hefty comeback in the second and third quarter and just kind of staved off Jacksonville. I know this was Purple, if you're listening out there, this should be a confidence booster for you. I know it's tough taking a loss like that, but this was an awesome game that you played, and I think you got another solid opportunity to get a big statement win this week versus Youngstown State. If they're it always hurts to lose, but this was a really, really quality loss, if you will.
Yeah, I just want to say another word to Purple. This has been a rough start to your career. I think it's 0-5 or 0-6 now when you combine the Savannah State tenure last season. But I mean, everybody hits these stretches. Pello hit it at Bethune-Cookman last year. Jocks hit it at Penn. Montana hit it last year to begin the season, and they ended up making a run into the playoffs. So this isn't an indictment on your ability or anything. Like I said, Butler has been a mainstay here for a while. This is just a fun game to watch. Butler made the comeback, but Jacksonville, those Finns, they kept fighting back, and they almost pulled it off in the end. High-flying offense is just a lot of fun to witness.
Yeah, good showing, even though it was a loss for Jacksonville. 45 points is nothing to laugh at. Well, nothing to cough at. I mean, good game. Not quite there on the defensive side, but that just happens sometimes in fake college football. Sometimes people just explode. But another good sign for Jacksonville, and I'm pretty sure soon he'll get his first win, and it will be a good win for him.
Avenge me, purple.
Oh yeah, he's got your lawyer next week.
Yeah.
Next game is Kennesaw wrecking South Dakota State 66-26. Judge, you want to tell us what happened there?
Sure, yeah. So I went in this game not feeling great. Top 10 preseason ranking. I was not expecting that. I knew I won the conference and everything, but I still wasn't expecting that. I started 1-4 last year, so I was a little worried about that as well. Opening kickoff, the Jackrabbits, they run it all the way back for a touchdown. So immediately in the hole, but things got a little bit easier after that, and we just got on a roll. Just kept hitting pass after pass, and then we counter it with a little bit of running. Tried to have a balanced attack and control the ball in the second half, but we kept finding the end zone, and that's just what we want to see. 40-point win is much more than I imagined, and I'm very happy with my team. Hopefully we can keep it going.
I bet. Yeah, the great win against a good team and a good conference. Yeah, just all around nice win. Great start to the season.
I like to see Missouri Valley Conference cult, or whatever the attempt of a cult that they're trying to create, get bashed down. Looking back at last year, the way Judge's season started, I know it was a little bit disappointing, but I'm excited to see, clean slate, the kind of power that you can kind of put into the season and see where it can end up. Because, started in a bit of a hole last year and you made it all the way to the playoffs. So I'm excited to see you stick around in the top 10 and continue your run from last season.
Definitely.
Thanks.
Next, we have Mercer and Western Illinois.
Oh wait,
yes, this was another interesting game. Rico's been kind of in and out as far as the chat goes, but pretty close at the very end. 30 only 5-point win. Rico really turned it on in the second half. 23 points to Western Illinois 7. Another dropped 356 total yards on them. I have to play Mercer in 2 weeks, and I'm biting all the nails off my fingers because I know Rico can really bring it. What do y'all think?
Yeah, Mercer's a really good, decent team that people don't pay enough attention to. They were down 21-10 shortly after halftime, and it was a pretty slow-moving game. It was nearing the deadline, and we had a bit to go. I wasn't sure if this game was going to finish, but Mercer showed up. Mercer showed out and ran away and got the 5-point win. He kind of shut the door on them there. Another great win over the Missouri Valley Conference. They talk so big. I don't know why they can't. I mean, they got
Back it up.
They got a couple wins over us, but we got 3 or 4. I can't remember. But yeah, didn't start the way we wanted to. I think one of those touchdowns for Western Illinois was delay a game. So I mean, heck, Mercer's spotting them 8 points, and the Leathernecks, that's their mascot, Western Illinois. They can't even overcome that. Mercer, Uncle Rico's a really good coach, and people really underestimate him. So y'all better watch out.
Definitely. I think Mercer's definitely a good coach. I think he's flown under the radar for a while in coaches poll and the power rankings. Probably because he doesn't talk that much. But this is he's on and see if he can make a run for this start of a run. Good game all around. Next game is Gardner-Webb beating Northern Alabama. Matt, new coach in the A-Sun, didn't get off to a good start. Just not a good start for them. That's all I'd say.
Yeah, I think this game, Gardner Webb was Eastern Illinois last year, and they made an appearance in the Missouri Valley Conference Championship game. With the whole coronavirus situation, he came out of retirement as he found some new time and found a home in the CFC, and it looks like he's continuing his winning ways with a big win here. But I think some of this was just a factor of Matt at North Alabama just maybe running out of gas in the tank. He's in a leadership position over in MLR, and he's got a lot going on. He cares about UNA. He's from Huntsville, Alabama. That's his local team. But he hung it up after this game, and he's got other things that he wants to do, so that's fine. But credit to Gardner Webb, and we'll miss you, Matt.
Yeah, I agree. It's you only were an A-Sun member officially for one game, but you're always a A-Sun boy for life, my dude. Best of luck with your adventures in MLR. Like I said, nothing to take away from Gardner Webb. He's going to be a force in the CFC this year. Pretty dominant win, if I will say so myself. Even with the shorthanded time possession, but Gardner Webb turned it on in the second half, dropped 28 points unanswered. I think Northern Alabama the new coach has some relatively large shoes to fill. So looking to see how that plays out in the weeks to come. Next, as you guys probably are well aware, the Samford Southern Illinois game. Samford blowing out Southern Illinois by 80 points, dropped 100 burger on them.
That has to be some kind of record, right?
I think last year Bryant dropped over 100 points in a game, but I think that was a kind of a meme game, if I'm not mistaken. I think they dropped 100 points on Old Youngstown State. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless, dropping 100 points, especially if it's not a meme game, is that's amazing. That's incredible. And I know Samford is riding a huge wave after that, especially beating a team like Southern Illinois. Dropping 34 points in the first, 36 points in the in the fourth quarter, 700 total yards. These are just video game numbers, man.
500 rushing yards.
And he only had the ball for a minute or two more in Southern Illinois. He just made every single snap count. I would love to see how the average differential of of plays on in that game. But score speaks for itself. Not really much I can say. Samford kicked his ass.
Yeah. This is one of just my favorite things to witness in fake football. This is just one of my favorite games I've seen. I do remember at some point, it was 34-7 after the first quarter, so Samford really had no issue getting up early. And I remember this Southern Illinois coach saying if he was threatening bad things to Samford if he dared chewed the clock against him. He said, "You'd better not lay off me." And Samford obliged him, and so he just went out and typically when you see high scoring numbers, the clock's only 7 minutes. It's kind of hard to run up the score with long drives. Typically, yardage isn't high. There's a lot of turnovers that lead you to score a lot of points. No, Samford gained 727 yards. I don't know the records here, but that was quite extraordinary.
Yeah, if Samford isn't ranked number one in the coaches poll, either people didn't hear the score or there's something wrong with the coaches poll. I will be surprised if there isn't some kind of this momentum carries over to future games. Like, this is a crazy win, this is probably giving him a ton of confidence. And yeah, I'm still looking at that 500 rushing yards going, what the?
Yeah.
And then I think our final game, right? Yes, is Stet 35-30. And our guest, Stetson coach Hat. Would you like to tell us what happened in this game?
Hat.jpg.
I mean, honestly, the first quarter, I was getting a little frustrated. I got off to a 3-0 lead, then gave up a touchdown right back. But then I just started pouring it on, and everything was working. I just got into the zone where I couldn't call a bad play. It felt like, you know.
It's
I
a good
normally
spot
try
to
and
be in.
scout, but I just wasn't there. Just was running off my head and kept the game up as much as I could.
Definitely. Yeah, good win. Team ranked at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, Holy Cross is a pretty decent team. I knew they had a new coach, but they've been a decent program. Hat, you had a decent end to the season. I know the season as a whole wasn't as good, and you picked it up partway through last season. How do you feel about this game setting the tone moving forward for you?
I really think this is definitely the start of a big step forward. Really, I think, no offense to you, Slow, but the start for me was really that game last year. That really got me going with this. But I think this is going to be a really good season for the Hatters, and I'm glad we were able to make a mark early.
That game was the beginning of your rise and my fall. I think I lost 3 in a row after that.
Oh,
Stetson, I'm curious because I know this game that you're playing is against Duquesne. You're pretty good friends with Duquesne's head coach outside of FFCS, and I believe in MLR. I just recently played a game with somebody that I'm friends with, and I played Judge in person before. Is there something to be said about the stakes being a little bit higher playing somebody that you know or playing somebody that you're playing in real life?
Oh, absolutely. This is probably the game I'm most looking forward to all season because, I mean, like you said, Val and I are really good friends outside of FFCS and over in MLR and other places. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. And it definitely ramps up the intensity playing someone you know that well. And even though the stakes are just bragging rights, to have that against someone you're close with is always fun.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think, the Dawn, as of right now, I think your division, there's, 6 teams won this past week. So I think it's going to be a logjam, for lack of a better term, in that division this year. And the team that lost, Jacksonville, they're no slouch either. So this is going to be one of the more exciting divisional races, I think, in all of the FFCS coming up this year. So, and you'll be right there in the thick of it, all 3 of you guys, to be honest. So
it's going to be crazy.
It looks like your game is going to be ASUN Game of the Week this week. Is there any other kind of pressure being on that stage, or is it just a normal game, or what?
I'm gonna try and treat it as much like a normal game as I can. Like I said, that's hard to do, especially with being as good friends with Val as I am and having that end to it. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if we were one of the first games done, because she and I both, live on Discord and are going to do our best to just hammer it out. So, but I'm also going to try and not rush through it and stay thoughtful and methodical throughout.
Well, awesome. Okay.
Yeah,
we'll
be paying a lot of attention on Wednesday. I'm really looking forward to seeing this game play out.
Exactly. I'm glad that we're getting to highlight a team that we didn't really get to highlight a ton last year in Stetson. I think it's really awesome to kind of put your program in the spotlight, especially this early in the season. Yeah,
I'm excited.
So I guess we'll hop right into week 2 preview and predictions. So we can start with the ASUN game of the week. I'm all in. I think Stetson. I think you're gonna win this pretty. I'm not gonna say handily because I know that Val is a very good coach, but after the win last week, 22 points is not, you laid it on. I think you come out victorious this week.
What's our order going to
yeah.
be here? Go ahead.
I'm obviously never going to pick myself to lose a game. Just for meme's sake, I'll say I take it 66-6.
Fitting. Yeah, I played Val last year when she was at Albany. It was a very close game. Wanted a last-second field goal, and she got a good win against Valpo last week.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be a tough game for you, but what you did at the end of the season last season, and then what you did to Holy Cross, leads me to believe that you'll pull this one out. You'll keep the hot streak going. So I got Stetson.
Yeah. I honestly think it'll be a pretty close one. My guess is the two of us are both good at getting into the other's head, so my guess is there'll be a lot of turnovers and a lot of high scoring, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Just one where we're either right on or so far off, and there's little in between.
Yep. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
And I think that means we have a unanimous for this game. I also have Stetson. The win last week, I think you'll keep it going this week. Get off to a good start for yourself and the ASUN as a whole. They'll be similar this week.
All right, I'll take that unanimous decision. Next, we have Alabama A&M versus Houston State. I'm gonna abstain from voting here, but I will provide a little background. Sam Houston State beat Danny last week. Sam Houston State was a former FFCS coach, and then he went on to Wazoo in the FBS. So he's definitely a solid stud. So I'm a little nervous this week, to be honest, after showing versus Danny last week, but it's going to be exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, I'll hop in. I played NCS, Sam Houston State, week 1 last season. They're very good. I'm hopeful about your prospects this year, Alabama A&M. I think you'll do well, but you might just have to take the route I took last year, which is lose at the beginning and then finish strong. I've got Sam Houston State here, but good luck. I really am rooting for you.
Appreciate it. Stetson, what do you think?
I'm gonna take you in large part because I just think you'll bounce back from the loss last week, and even in the loss, and while it was tough, I think you'll definitely be able to bounce back and take down a good program in Sam Houston.
Much appreciated.
I also have I think bounce back game. I have a lot less upsets this week, so an upset is anyone beating the ASUN. But yeah, I think you're gonna win this.
Okay, moving right along. We have Alabama or Merrimack at Alabama State. I'm going to be honest. I don't know a ton about Merrimack this year. I know they haven't been a traditional power in the FCS. I like Turk to get 2-0 right here. I think that's kind of unprecedented as far as his record has been in seasons past. So I'm going to have him ride the wave. I think he plays in the same kind of game that he played last week. Same level of intensity, and I think he knocks off Merrimack this week.
Yeah, I don't know very much about Merrimack at all. I'm not sure if anyone knows much about Merrimack at all. You never hear about them doing much. I think they're in the America East, but I can't say for certain. I think Turk will win this a little bit more comfortably this week, and I'm rolling with the Hornets.
Give me 1 sec to take a look at the numbers really quick on my end. I am also gonna take Turk this week. After a solid win, although the difference wasn't quite where you wanted it to be, with him at 378 per offensive play call. All I've got right now is offensive stats. His team was really explosive when it had to be, with expected net points per play of about 1. And whereas Merrimack's was only... I had them right here. Where are you, Merrimack? Fuck, I've lost my Merrimack tab somehow. Was only about 0.3, while the difference was lower. So I'll take Turk to win this one, honestly.
I also have Turk. I don't know anything about Merrimack. I think Turk is gonna start off 2-0. This is the start of the Alabama State dynasty. So yeah, I got Alabama State.
Damn. Okay. He Hat.jpg came prepared for this show. I will tell you that. Next.
By
next
week, my sheet will help me auto-generate point spreads.
Nice.
I have to play you later this year, so let's tone it down on the automation, and give me a chance here. Next, we have Bethune-Cookman at Charleston Southern. Although this won't count toward the CFC A-Sun battle or challenge this year, this is still a huge non-conference matchup. Charleston Southern represented his division in the CFC Conference Championship last year. Bethune-Cookman, as you know, playoff team. This is going to be one of another trek in Pelo's gauntlet of the schedule. This is going to be one of the games I'm going to watch this week for sure. I have Pelo here, although it's going to be close. Both teams are going to be in conference championship consideration at the end of the year. It's like I said, Pelo close, but hopefully we're going to have a lot of eyes on this game by the end of the week.
Yeah, I like Charleston Southern. I like them as a team. I think they're pretty good, but I don't know if I can ever really bet against Pelo. I think Bethune-Cookman's just really strong, so I've got them.
I am going to lean Pelo, but I actually think it'll be pretty close. The one thing I would say that would throw it a little towards Charleston Southern is if Pelo coughs up the ball more than I'd say probably twice, then he's probably cooked. Charleston Southern put up a good number of points despite bad turnover rates and differences last week, and I think if Pelo can keep the ball in his possession, then he should be able to take this one.
Yeah, you got a point. Yeah, you got a good point there about turnover. I could really flip it.
Yeah, definitely. I also have Bethune-Cookman. I got converted last week. All my predictions last week were anti Bethune-Cookman, and he just went and proved me wrong everywhere. So I'm not going to bet against him this week. I might bet against him in conference play. We'll see. But this week I got Bethune-Cookman.
Well, there you have it. It's three folks, who played Bethune-Cookman last year. odds are in your favor this week, my man. Next, we have Maine at Campbell. Maine's playing another ASUN team this week after taking down one of the ASUN Goliaths and Matt last week in a pretty decisive shutout, 21-0. Does he keep his hot streak versus Campbell this week, or because Campbell's coming to streaking as well with another big dub? Maine is a very detail-oriented coach. After seeing some of the stuff that he posts on Reddit, I think he is going to use a lot of the numbers to his advantage. I actually, originally, I think I'm going to flip my original prediction. I'm sorry, Campbell, but I like Maine here. I think Maine is another one of those blue blood coaches who've been around for a while. Everything some of these other coaches. This is a battle between two tested coaches, but I think Maine comes out on top.
I think you hit the nail on the head there about Maine. Very detail oriented. I think they're focused in on this. Say what you want about extenuating circumstances. I know it was a defensive slog of a game last week against Jacksonville State, but it really means something that he shut Matt out. Didn't give up any points, and so I know Campbell likes to throw the ball a little bit and put some points up on the board, but I really think Maine is going to limit that, and so give me Maine here.
Yeah, honestly, I'm sorry, Humpy, but I'm also going to take Maine here. The numbers are actually really comparable for the two teams this last week, even though their point totals would tell different stories. Campbell's offense was a little bit more explosive, but Maine's was just more consistent, and I'll take the consistency over the explosiveness in most cases.
I actually expected to be in the minority this week when I picked Maine, but apparently I'm not. Yeah, I didn't think I don't think I could bet us some ups. And Maine beating Campbell is one of those. Maine might be the best team we're going up against this week, so it's definitely gonna be a tough game for Campbell. I'm taking Maine here.
That's gonna be one mad Camel when he hears this show tomorrow.
Yeah.
It will be. He's probably our most consistent viewer, and we're
just taking him out to the woodshed.
And we're all picking against him.
Next, we have North Carolina A&T at Chattanooga. Once again, another team from the ASUN that's riding a bit of a heater right now after a big Week 1 win. And North Carolina A&T is not a team that I'm super familiar with as well out of the CFC. I do play them later this year. I probably should know a little bit more about them than I actually do. Something to be said about Brian Markston, Chatty's quarterback. He really threw the ball all over the place this past week. Let's see if he can back up the All-Star performance this year or this week. Could be Chatty.
I really struggle with this one. The CFC is a fine conference, but they do have a lot of teams that seem to reside in the cellar. I have not seen enough from A&T yet. They couldn't put up a win last week, and Chattanooga's really got something rolling right now. So it pains me to pick this, but I'm going with the Mocs.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Chatty to bring this one down. I don't have the numbers run on A&T yet, but Chatty just absolutely smoked last week with his passing attack, and I think he'll be able to carry that over into this week and take down Maine. Or not Maine, A&T, sorry. Spaced out there for
another
a second.
sweep we have here. That's 4 sweeps in a row. I took Chatty. Chatty got off to a good win. I know nothing about A&T. Sorry, dude. But yeah, I got Chatty here.
I think we're all drinking the same Sonny D this week because we are all very much in sync. Next game, that is another ASUN CFC showdown that will be counting towards the ASUN CFC challenge. Citadel at East Tennessee State. We all saw that Nutt, was able to hold his own in his game by himself, playing offense and defense. Citadel, as a lot of people know from last season, was got off to a pretty hot start. I think Judge, you played Citadel.
Yep, I did. Lost.
So you're familiar with what? I'm not sure if it's the same coach, but I'm pretty sure
It's not.
that it is.
I don't think it is. No, I'm pretty sure it's different. They've had a few coaching changes, I believe.
Okay. Who am I to bet against the hot hand right now? I think I picked him at the beginning of the season. I thought Nutt was going to be a dark horse at least out of the Dutch division. I think this is part of a larger string of wins for Nutt to start the season off. So give me Nutt. Give me East Tennessee.
I'm going to go with Nutt as well. He had some time down in D2 at the end of last season to kind of develop his skills, and he really, he beat Sanford by 2 scores down in D2. Last week was a good win, and the Citadel is decent. The Citadel has the capability to win this game, but I'm going with ETSU, especially at home.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Nutt here. Both teams have really solid offenses, it looks like, from what my board says. But Nutt just was able to keep it rolling all game last week and had the diff to back it up. So
we might be running out of brooms here, people. Another sweep. I got Nutt getting another win. Again, don't really know much about ETSU. Not ETSU. Yeah, Citadel. Don't know much about Citadel. Nutt started off really well. Keeps it going.
Speaking of teams we faced before, next we have South Dakota State versus FAMU. The same South Dakota State that got walloped by 40 points by Judge in week 1. If you guys couldn't tell, I've been a little bit inclined to pick the ASUN over the Missouri Valley Conference on this show. So, and I'm going to stick with my co-hosts. I'm going to go FAMU here. So you definitely have started off the season well last as well. You can once you get on tears and you get on streaks, it's kind of hard to slow you down. So, and we've seen from last week that South Dakota State is prone to giving up points by the ton once they've been scored. So I think I like FAMU here.
Yeah, I think what really worries me a lot about South Dakota State was the turnovers. He coughed up the ball 3 times in quick succession in the second half last week in my game, and I'm not saying he's doomed to have a bad season. There's always time to turn around, but I don't know if there's enough time for him to turn around against FAMU, who just had a win against an established coach. So I'm going with the Rattlers.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Florida A&M here. Honestly, South Dakota State isn't a team I know a ton about, but for one, Slow was really solid last week consistency-wise, and I got to pick the ASUN.
And I pick myself, of course. More sweeps.
So, moving right along, next we have Jacksonville at Youngstown State. This is a really tough game for me to choose because I really, really, really want Jacksonville. I want Purple to get his first dub this week because I really think he has it in him. After seeing him play last week, he's learned enough about the game to become a solid coach in this league. But Bernie's tactics to approaching the game are relatively unparalleled that I've seen from other coaches. So I think Bernie's going to be too much, and I think Youngstown State wins this game.
Not so fast, my friend. Purple's really shown an knack for offense, and so that's why I believe the option might backfire on Youngstown State here. Jacksonville keeps knocking on the door, and I believe this is the week that the door opens. I think that the ASUN will get revenge on Bernie, and you will be avenged. Give me Purple
Please.
to get his first career win.
Purple, I beg of you.
Yeah, I'm also taking Purple here. Just like you said, he's really shown real talent on offense so far, and he's just gotten so close in every one of his games, and I think this is the time he breaks through to get the W.
We got another Judge story here. Judge started out slow last year, but luckily, well, kind of luckily for Purple, his slow was the end of last season on a team that was kind of already out of playoff contention when he took it. But yeah, I think he. We'll see if it lasts the whole season and get him into playoffs. But I think this is where his run starts.
Very peculiar. Okay. Next, we have New Jacksonville State at Incarnate Word. So for those who are unfamiliar with the topic, Baba will be taking over Jacksonville State temporarily until Matt from Jacksonville State returns in an undetermined time. I'm going to go Incarnate Word here. Incarnate Word has been a team out of the Southland that has always been pretty solid. Nothing against Baba, our Lord and Savior, but I think Incarnate Word is too much here. I think he did enough to get his program to the playoffs last year. Southland is relatively under the radar. I think Incarnate Word pulls this one out.
Yeah, you've got a point there about the Southland. They were a really sneaky good conference. They did well in the playoffs last season, and they've got a lot of good teams. People might not remember, this is a rematch of a playoff game last year that Jacksonville State came out on top of. He was aided by, I might not have the exact number correct, but he was aided by maybe an 83-yard field goal attempt by Incarnate Word. Which of course missed, and Incarnate Word could not pull out the victory. I think Incarnate Word's a good team. I have trouble picking against the Gamecocks, even with Baba. Baba's not the greatest coach. He struggled a little bit at Savannah State last year, but I just feel like there's going to be some Gamecock magic. So give me JSU.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm going to take Baba here, too. I think a little of it is you got to let Baba make his triumphant appearance, and it's hard to pick against someone that big in their first game there. And if I recall, isn't Incarnate Word a new coach?
They took over about halfway through last season.
Okay. But either way, Baba's been around since, forever. And I think Baba outfoxes Incarnate to the win.
In his first week back, I'll probably vote against him in conference play. But this week, I got Baba. I think our Lord and Savior Baba will pull it out, at least in his first week back.
Next, we have Harvard at Kennesaw State. Judge, I know this game has a little bit more riding on than just a regular FCS game. This game has some reach outside of the sport. Do you want to touch on that before we make our predictions?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. This is another one of our famous Dad Bowls. As you may know or may not know, I also go by Gob Bibson, pitcher for the San Diego Padres, and Harvard is coached by fellow rotation member of the Dads, Booth Jones. So, yeah, we got us another Dad Bowl. I'm super excited. I haven't done well in Dad Bowls of the past. I'm hoping to right the ship here.
Yeah, I just off the cuff, I think I kind of give me Kennesaw State. Judge, I like what you're doing with the program. You got a lot of good FFCS karma, making all these awesome graphics, hosting the show. I think the FFCS gods are in your favor this week, and you get that first Dad Bowl dub.
You go ahead, Hat. I can't make a prediction on my own self. So
I'm gonna go with you, although I do want to give Harvard a massive shout out for his coach being named Booth Jones, which is an awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna take you. You just spanked up on South Dakota State, and just got to keep it rolling. This.
Okay, so the Ivy, I'm pretty sure, had a terrible week last week. Did they go winless or did they get?
They went 1-7. Brown got one at the buzzer.
Okay.
Oof.
So 1 win for the Ivy League. I think they'll bounce back, but not in this game. I got Kennesaw. I think the Ivy overall will bounce back, but not with Harvard. I think Kennesaw gets the win over Harvard.
Moving right along, we have a ASUN Big Sky matchup, Mercer at Portland State. Before the show, I recently got word that Mercer and Portland State are actually two in real life coworkers. Adds another level of complexity to this game. Portland State was kind of a bit of the thorn in a lot of teams' sides last year, especially in the Big Sky. They won some big games. I know they beat Sanford last year. But Rico is a sly, cunning coach who, like we saw this week with Western Illinois, just finds ways to win. I think if he could, like Stetson said before, if he can limit turnover, I think this game can be a big dub for him.
I know I praised Uncle Rico a lot earlier. This doesn't change any of that, but sometimes things just happen in fake football. Like you said, Portland State's been around for a while, so while I don't think they're a great team, they've got experience, and the whole in real life familiarity may backfire on Mercer here. So I think I've got to go with a long-standing Big Sky coach here, because Big Sky has been this may be heresy on the show, but the Big Sky has been a mainstay power. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say Portland State.
I actually thought I was going to be the only one to take them. I'm going to take Portland State as well. Rico had a really clutch game last week, taking the win away from Western Illinois late. But I think teams have down weeks, and I think he just loses a tough one to Portland State.
I didn't expect to be in the minority picking Mercer. I got Mercer. Rico has been disrespected many times, and it looks now on this show too. I got Mercer. Great coach. I think he'll pull it out. Go 2-0 in conference. I'm not in conference. Out of conference, and keep it rolling into conference play.
Hey Rico, I love you.
Even though you stole the Georgia belt away from him at the end of the year last year, but who's counting?
Who's counting?
Next game, we have Northern Alabama at NC Central. This is another game that's going to count for the ASUN CFC Challenge. New coach, Wally, at Northern Alabama, after UNA Matt's untimely departure. I don't say this very often because it's not super common. I know Samford dropped 100 points this past week. I only really think that there are a few coaches who are capable of dropping 100 points in an FFCS game, and I think Junie is one of those coaches. I think if you give him the right opportunity, he can legitimately drop 100 points. So give me Junie here. Give me NC Central. I think it's going to be a tough first game for UNA to kind of walk into. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout. It could be a high scoring affair, but I think Junie has the offensive power to power through, if you will.
Yeah, your reasoning is the same as my reasoning is coming to a decision. We're glad to have new coach Wally. I'm sure he'll find his way. But this is a really tough debut game. Junie's just a wild card. He's got this weird aura about him, and you never know how many points it's going to score. You just know it's going to be a lot. And so I'll keep my eye on this one. It's got potential to get ugly, and not anything bad reflecting on UNA. It's just Junie. Junie's been a little weird lately, so I'm gonna go with Junie.
Yeah, I've also got Junie in this one. I think while Wally's going to have a good tenure at UNA, hopefully, I think this may just be a rude awakening in his first game. He drew a really tough opponent in Junie, who I think his offense is going to go off this week. And I obviously hope Wally takes it, but I'm going to pick Junie, and I'm worried it might not be close.
Hey, look, we took a 1-game break from sweeps. Yeah, I got Junie as well. I don't know much about Wally, and while sometimes new coaches can pull off surprises just because there's zero scouting and nothing to expect from them, so no, can't really go with the plan. I think I've seen Junie around for a while. He's got some experience, and like the other guys said, can pop off at any time. So I want to go with Junie in this one.
And it looks like the last game that we have to predict for week 2 is Holy Cross at Samford. Speaking of 100-point scorers, I am personally close friends with Holy Cross. He's not my lawyer, but we are in cahoots a little bit. Holy Cross coach, insert name here. You are one of my good buddies, but I like Samford here. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be closer than the spread will show, whatever the spread may be. But I really believe in Samford this year. I really want to see him continue what he's been doing from last week. So give me Samford.
Yeah, I think Samford's got a little more time on his hands than usual. I think he's locked in, and new coaches have been able to find success early, but there have been also times when they just come up against veterans, and Samford's been here a season now. He's a veteran. He's locked in, and I think he's going to take it. So give me Samford.
Yeah, I've got Smammy as well. I played HC last week, and they fell into a few patterns at times, and with an offense that just absolutely torched Southern Illinois, I think Samford may not do it to that caliber again, but I think he'll put up a good number on Holy Cross.
Well, this is 10 games out of the 14 that are sweeps. I got Samford. If this was if Samford had any other kind of game last week, even if it was a blowout or maybe, or even if definitely if it was like a close game or something like that, this would have been a harder decision. But a record-setting game like that, I think that's a ton of confidence and momentum, and Samford will probably be riding this for 2 more games can't even one after that. He's gonna be feeling it for a while, and I think this is just the beginning of a run of wins for Samford.
Yeah, I think if Samford dropped maybe 99, my choice might be different.
But okay, so we went 10-4. Well, the A-Sun as a whole went 10-4 last week. If we get anywhere close to what we're predicting here, I think that might be like record. I think the only comparable would be Big Sky 2 seasons ago, and that was when half the FCS was inactive. Like half the FCS didn't have coaches. So
Yeah.
I think that if we can get anywhere close, if we can get like 8 wins this week or 9, I think we'll be setting ourselves up for for Sanford's prediction of 6 playoff teams, and that will be crazy.
Yeah, this part of the season can really do you wonders. I'm just worried, there's always upsets. So while on paper it looks some way, I'm a little worried about some upsets. But like you said, we're set up well, and I really think our teams will do well this week.
Oh, one more thing. I forgot about it before we started this. Last week, for predictions, me, Ampersand, and Sanford all went 9-5 with our predictions. Judge went a even 7-7.
That's what I get for picking against the A-Sun.
I noticed you did it again in one particular game. I'm not going to say which game, but
Oh yeah.
So let's hope Judge has at least one incorrect pick this week. Next, we can move on to conference standings. Only 1 weekend, but we can still distribute some of that flashy Judge graphics. These are awesome. As you guys can see, that Dawn division is looking pretty good after 1 week. A lot of football to play, but even Jacksonville up in there. That's going to be an extremely interesting division to watch throughout the rest of the season. Very excited.
Yeah. So 3-1 for teams who, the teams who lost. But week 1, hard to predict a lot in week 1. But Dawn is shaping out to be a really tough division, and I could see Dusk be, especially you losing. That's a little bit of a setback, but that can easily turn around. And with Jacksonville State, I know it's Baba right now, but I'm assuming Matt's gonna come back at some point this season, and he could go on a run and make it competitive again. So both of these could be 6 or 7 team races.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the only worry I would have is that we end up too competitive just from beating up on our only get.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once we hit week 3, everything's the
Everything
gloves
changes.
are off. Yeah, everything
Yeah.
changes, and we're gonna see some madness. So can't wait.
It's gonna be crazy. Yeah.
And then moving right along into the power rankings after week 1. We can just I'll run through the top 8 real quick. At the top, we had Bethune-Cookman receiving 5 first place votes, Kennesaw State receiving 2, and Sanford also receiving 2. Florida A&M, Campbell, Chatty, and Mercer wrapping up that top 7, if you will. So you want to take the next 7? Jeez.
Yeah. Bethune-Cookman reclaiming its top spot, which he held a bunch last season. I didn't have Kennesaw State. Well, okay, I didn't have Bethune-Cookman 1. I had Kennesaw State 1. The way I did it is I took my rankings from last week, and if you won, you kept your spot. If you lost, you dropped down to the bottom. But it's the same order. Just I had last week, so they were the highest loser in the power rankings. But yeah, that means I had Kennesaw State at 1 because he was 1 last week and kept his spot. So, but yeah, Not too much wrong with it. Mercer probably still getting a little disrespected. Chatty does not deserve that number 1 vote.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him shoot up that far. Impressive win, but I still need
And
to see a
A&M
lot
is a
more.
little farther down that thought.
I will say one peculiar thing about this that I noticed. Alabama State with a top 15 win, and they're still number 10 in the power rankings. I think there might be a little bit of shade thrown their way on this. It's just week 1, but
Yeah.
a little bit interesting
A little
dynamic
bit
there.
of historic. The history doesn't favor Alabama State.
Mhm.
This week, I could definitely see him shooting up in the top half. But
I take significant personal offense to not being ranked in the top half.
You just missed it.
I think you should be ranked above Chattanooga, but that's the only one I see obvious you should be ranked above. I'm surprised Alabama A&M dropped that far. Even though I ranked them there, I didn't expect everybody else to rank them that area.
Ouch. No, we had a good week. We had a really good week.
Expect everybody else to vote like I did, so I was surprised.
10-4 as a conference. That's amazing. So I got to fall somewhere. So
Yeah.
I don't take any offense to that. I think we had a great week as a conference. I'd rather see some of the other teams ranked above me because that's what they deserve to be. Okay, moving along, we'll introduce a new segment to the show. Now that a lot of coaches in the ASUN have developed rosters and fleshed them out, started keeping some statistics with their teams, we're going to now be kind of nominating and awarding ASUN Player of the Week starting this week. And this week, I don't know, Judge, you can speak more to the voting process, but there was many valid and possible nominees who could have taken this award this week. It came down, I think it was a pretty close vote, but Chatty's quarterback, Brian Markston, senior quarterback number 7, video game-esque number 7 touchdowns, 25 passing, 37 for 49, 0 picks, and a pretty standout win. So gave it to him. Who were some other people who were in the running, Judge?
So yeah, we this is sort of a trial run. I think there will be some improvements to the poll this week, but this was definitely a success. So I'm very happy to see more engagement among conference members. So of course, Brian Markston, well deserved first place in the voting this week. Second place was Kennesaw State quarterback Andrew Van Buren. He's a junior. He had 3 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, nearly 500 yards of total offense. So, but Brian Markston had a hefty lead. Other standouts were Jason Campbell, the quarterback at Campbell, one of the I'm not sure how legal they are, one of the clones, and then please forgive me for not remembering his name because Sanford has the ballot and he's got the list. Sanford kind of runs this whole thing. So, but Bethune-Cookman had a kick returner with 2 kick return touchdowns. Very impressive there. And so we're still formulating some things, if we want to split out Player of the Week to different sides of the ball. But right now we just have one, and we're very proud of all the standout athletes we have in this conference. And thank you guys for nominating them. And this will be a segment we have the whole season. Congrats to Chatty on his quarterback being the first ever ASUN Player of the Week. Presented by Coppertone.
Yeah, thank you to all the ASUN coaches who are putting the time in to develop stats and rosters, and who've, like Pello, thank you for distributing your roster sheet or in your stat keeping sheet. That's in you as well. I know you have your own little tools that you use to keep these stats. So thank you guys for doing that. That makes this game a lot more fun and a lot more interesting week over week. Thanks, guys. And the last segment of the show, familiar segment from last season, the Sunny D of the Week, presented by Sunny D. This one, was, we had a lot of high scoring affairs in the ASUN. So we came down to a couple different nominees. Came down to Stetson, Kennesaw State, and I believe it came down to, who else was the person we were? I believe, Alabama State as well. But I think at the end of the day, Stetson was just too much. Forced 2 turnovers, 13 points allowed. Just very solid on both sides of the ball. Only allowed 200 yards offense in a week 1 game versus a new coach. And defensively, I would say it's probably harder. It's harder to defend for yourself when you're playing a new coach. Scouting basically is impossible with somebody who's never played anything before.
It would have been 7 points allowed and 3 turnovers, but he forgot to call a play on one thing and changed his number.
It do be like that sometimes.
Yup.
Yeah, when I was looking at it, it came down to Stetson and Alabama State. And while Alabama State allowed less points, I'm pretty sure Stetson allowed less yards, had more turnovers, and I think turnovers are the same. But I think time of possession is another thing that really had it for me. The Stetson defense kept the team's offense off the field. Defensive show.
Well, Stetson, drink up. This piping hot OJ's coming your way.
212 degrees.
Boiling, just the way we like it on this show. But that's all that I have, Stetson. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we close this out? I know you aren't always super active in the Discord, so is there anything you wanted to say before it was yours?
Go Hatters.
Very well.
That works.
Short, sweet, to the point.
I mean, I'm honestly been trying to be in the server more. I probably don't talk very much outside of the conference server, but
Hey, we're all friends in there. We're all friends.
Yeah, I will say I'm very much appreciate the random intermittent hat.jpegs you post every once in a while. Those usually brighten my day.
I actually have let me check. I have 130 to my laptop right now.
Oh man.
And those are just the ones I haven't used.
Oh God, that's impressive. Wow. All right, boys. Well, Stetson, thanks for coming on the show. Another successful show. Now that we have another rival network to kind of take down the CAA. Best of luck this week, boys, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks.
See ya.
See you guys.
See ya.